The night she burned everything. Told from the perspective of Liam Carter. I'll never forget the sound the wine glass made when it hit the floor that night. Not because it shattered, but because it didn't. It bounced once on the hardwood and rolled to a stop near the couch. That sound, that stupid, insignificant sound, was the moment I knew something was wrong. Not the silence afterward. Not the way she didn't flinch. Not the way she stared at me with those calm, dead eyes. No, it was that sound. A soft thud. Like the world itself refusing to break, even when I already had. My name's Liam Carter. I'm 32, and until last December, I thought I understood love. I met Amelia in college. She was loud, brilliant, sharp in ways that hurt if you weren't ready. The kind of girl who interrupted professors in lecture halls and quoted poetry during arguments. The kind of girl who could destroy your ego with one raised eyebrow and then kiss you so deeply afterward that you'd forget your name. She chose me. I still don't understand why. Maybe because I didn't challenge her. Maybe because I adored her too much. I worshipped her. Let's not sugarcoat it. I was obsessed. In the way boys are when they meet their first real storm and think it's a summer breeze. She was never really mine. I know that now. But I thought she was. For 8 years. We lived together for 6. I bought us a house after I landed a senior editor position at a publishing house downtown. She was a graphic designer with a talent for painting. I paid the bills, she decorated our life. I didn't care that she never wanted to get married. It's just paperwork, she'd say. I didn't care that she never wanted kids. Too messy, she told me. I said yes to everything. My yes built the world she needed to feel safe. But she wasn't safe. She was a fire hiding in velvet. The first time I caught her lying, it was something small. A text from someone named Leo. Just an inside joke, she said. He's gay. Chill out. I did. The second time was bigger. A hotel receipt. I was helping a friend shoot an art piece, she said. I didn't want to deal with your jealousy. And again, I believed her. Not because she was convincing. Because I needed to. But this isn't about the lies. It's about what she did to me the night I found out who she really was. It was a Friday. I came home early to surprise her with takeout and a bottle of her favorite red. I walked in to find her sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, legs draped over the armrest like she owned the entire world. She looked at me, blinked once, and said, Amelia, you're home early. I smiled. Naive. Stupid. So fucking in love. Liam, thought I'd bring you something special. That Thai place you like. She didn't move. Just stared at the bag in my hands like it disgusted her. Amelia, we need to talk. Every cell in my body tensed. Liam, about what? She put her phone down, stood up, walked over and took the wine bottle from my hand, not even looking at it before setting it on the table. Amelia, I'm leaving. I laughed. That pathetic, awkward laugh you make when your brain can't process the words. Liam, what are you talking about? Amelia, I'm done. Liam, with this. With you. I've been done for a while. Liam, is this a joke? Amelia, no. I've been seeing someone else. I swear the universe shifted in that moment. Like gravity changed direction. Liam, who? She tilted her head, expression unreadable. Amelia, do you really want to know? Liam, yes. Amelia, Mason. It took me a second. Mason? My coworker. My best friend. The guy I carpooled with. The guy who helped me move furniture into this house. Liam, you're lying. She laughed. Soft. Cruel. Amelia, no. I've been sleeping with him for over a year. Sometimes here. Sometimes at his place. He knows I'm leaving you. I dropped the takeout bag. Pad thai and spring rolls spilled across the floor like entrails. I remember staring at the mess, thinking how absurd it was that I'd ordered extra peanut sauce. Liam, why? She shrugged. Amelia, you're boring, Liam. You think love is enough. It's not. My hands were shaking. I couldn't look at her. If I did, I was afraid I'd do something, say something I couldn't take back. Liam, so you used me? Amelia, no. I tolerated you. There's a difference. That was when the glass slipped from my hand and bounced instead of breaking. I should have cried, should have screamed, but I didn't. I stood there while she grabbed her coat and walked to the door. Liam, wait. She turned. Liam, did any of it mean anything? She looked at me like I was a stray dog. Amelia, it meant convenience. Comfort, but not love. She walked out. That's not the worst part. The worst part was what came after. Part 2, after the detonation. She walked out like she was heading to brunch, not like she had just ended a near decade of my life with a smile and a shrug. The door clicked shut. Not slammed. Just closed. Polite. Cold. I stood in the kitchen for maybe an hour without moving. Long enough for the food to congeal and the wine to warm. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just listened. To the silence. To the sound of my own heartbeat screaming at me to do something. Anything. But all I could do was exist. Around 9 p.m., I finally sat down on the floor. I called Mason. He didn't answer. Of course, he didn't. So I called again. And again. Finally, on the fourth try, he picked up. Mason. Yo, Liam. What's? Liam, don't. Just don't. There was a pause. A guilty one. Mason. You found out. Liam, found out? You mean the fact that you've been fucking my girlfriend for a year behind my back? Mason. Listen, man. It's not what you. Liam. If you say it's not what I think, I swear to God I'll find you and break your teeth in. Silence. Mason. I'm sorry. Liam, why? Mason. Because I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Liam. Oh, so the betrayal was fine, just the delivery was off. He didn't respond. Liam, you were in my house. You sat at my fucking table. You looked me in the eyes and lied. Mason. So did she. He said it like it was a justification. I hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I paced the house like a ghost. Every room was a crime scene. The couch where we used to watch movies. The shower where we'd made love. The bed that now felt like a goddamn grave. The next morning, I got a text. From Amelia. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. I'll come by next week for my stuff. You don't need to be there. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My silence was the last honest thing between us. 3 days later, I got an email from HR. Subject. Harassment allegation. Formal review notification. I read it 6 times before it made sense. Mason had reported me. Said I'd threatened him. Said I'd been emotionally unstable and aggressive. I almost threw up. He was covering his ass. Twisting the truth before I could speak mine. The bastard wasn't just screwing my ex. He was trying to bury my career too. I called my boss, tried to explain. Liam, he slept with my girlfriend. He betrayed me. I got angry, sure, but I didn't threaten him. My boss, Liam, just take the week off. Let's sort this out internally. It was already sorted. I could hear it in his voice. My world collapsed in layers. First love, then friendship, now reputation. I thought about confronting Mason in person, but what was the point? He'd already rewritten the narrative. I was the bitter, unstable ex. The man who couldn't let go. It got worse. A week later, Amelia posted a photo on Instagram. Her and Mason in bed. Caption, no more secrets. Just love. The comments made me sick. Cutest couple. Meant to be. OMG, finally 2 hearts. You two glow together. They were spinning it as some epic love story. Soulmates who overcame the odds. No one knew the truth. No one knew she told me she loved me 6 days before she walked out. No one knew she cheated, gaslit, and hollowed me out from the inside while wearing my hoodie and painting me as the villain in her bedtime story. And still, it wasn't over. I started getting DMs. From strangers. From her friends. From people I didn't even know. DM from @ArtsyLibra. You should be ashamed. She told us everything. You were toxic. Controlling. You made her feel small. Be glad she left when she did. I stared at the message for a long time. That was the narrative now. Not that I'd been betrayed. Not that my best friend had stabbed me in the back. No, that I had driven her to it. They were painting her as a survivor. And me as the abuser. I didn't know how to fight that. I still don't. Part 3. The implosion continues. The world didn't collapse all at once. It peeled away in layers, like skin after a burn. Painful, raw, slow. My inbox kept filling. Her friends unfollowed me in waves. Some quietly, some publicly. One even reposted Amelia's photo with the caption, "Proud of you for escaping toxicity. You deserve real love." Escape? Toxicity? I hadn't yelled at her once in 8 years. I hadn't so much as raised my voice unless it was to cheer her name at her art shows. I paid our rent when she went freelance and had 0 income for 8 months. I picked up her meds. I helped her mother get into a rehab program. And now, I was the abuser? My head spun constantly. I reread old texts. Looked for cracks. Maybe I had missed something. Maybe I had been blind. One night, I opened our old photo albums. Not digital ones. Real, printed albums Amelia made every year. Memories are sacred. she used to say. There we were, birthdays, anniversaries, lazy Sundays. Me holding her after her first tattoo. Her asleep on my chest on the floor of our empty first apartment. Her laughing so hard in the rain at the state fair, she snorted pad thai through her nose. I wasn't toxic. I was devoted. She rewrote the past so she didn't have to feel guilty for what she did. A week later, I saw Mason at work. I was packing my things. I decided to resign before they found a reason to fire me. He had the audacity to walk up to my desk and say, "Mason, look, I know this is hard. Liam, don't. Just walk away." Mason, she was miserable, man. You never listened to her. Liam, get away from me. He backed up, smug, like he'd won. And maybe he had. He got the girl. He got to keep the job. He even got sympathy. I got ghosted by half my social circle and branded a problem no one wanted to talk to. 2 nights later, I saw Amelia in public. I was at a cafe trying to eat something, anything. She walked in with him, all hand-holding and sunglasses, looking like the lead characters in a Netflix rom-com. She saw me. She didn't blink, didn't wave, just whispered something to Mason and walked past like I was gum stuck to her shoe. The barista noticed me shaking. "Barista, are you okay, sir?" "Liam, no." It was the first honest answer I'd given anyone in weeks. I stopped going out, stopped checking socials. I deleted Facebook, muted half of Instagram, and buried myself in grief. My mother called one night. I didn't answer. Then she texted, "Mom, you're not alone. I know it feels like you are, but you're not." I cried, really cried. Not just wet eyes, but fists in hair, can't breathe, guttural howling. Because for the first time in months, I realized I had completely disappeared into her story. I'd let her version of me become the version of me. I was now the bitter ex. I was the punchline in their inside jokes. I was a stain on her new beginning. And the worst part? I had let it happen. Part 4. The lowest point. They say you don't really understand the weight of grief until you lose something you can never get back. I didn't just lose a relationship. I lost my name, my reflection, the man I thought I was. I started drinking. Not a lot, at first. Just a few beers to take the edge off. Then whiskey. Then anything. I didn't get drunk to forget. I got drunk so I could finally stop thinking. I called her once. Just once. It was 2:37 a.m. I don't know what I expected. Maybe closure. Maybe an apology. Maybe a fight. She answered on the 4th ring. "Amelia, Liam. Liam, I just want to know why." "Amelia, I already told you." "Liam, no. You gave me headlines. I want the truth." She sighed. "Amelia, because you loved me too much. You suffocated me with kindness. You made me feel like I had to be perfect. With Mason, I can be messy." "Liam, so you betrayed me to feel free?" "Amelia, I betrayed us. Because us wasn't real anymore." "Liam, it was real to me." "Amelia, that's your problem. Everything is too real to you." And then she hung up. Like I was a telemarketer who overstayed his welcome. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Then I smashed the phone against the kitchen wall and sobbed on the floor like an abandoned dog. A few days later, a friend of hers, Maya, messaged me. She was one of the only ones who hadn't unfollowed me. Maya DM. "I'm sorry, Liam. I know what they're saying isn't fair. You were always good to her. Too good, maybe." She told me things that didn't make sense, but I didn't question it at the time. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't appreciate it, but because it didn't matter anymore. Truth was irrelevant now. I was no longer the man she loved. I was the villain in the story she used to justify leaving. Maya messaged again 2 days later. Maya DM. "Also, this might hurt, but you should know. She was with someone else even before Mason. A guy named Andre. He was in her art program. That started maybe 2 years ago. It wasn't just one affair. 2 years. That would have been during the time she was crying in my arms about how lost she felt. During the time I held her through her panic attacks. During the time I skipped a major conference to be at her mother's rehab graduation. I felt the nausea rise. It wasn't just betrayal. It was layers of betrayal. It wasn't a single knife in the back. It was 100 tiny cuts made while she looked me in the eye and whispered, "I love you." I wanted revenge. I fantasized about it. I wanted to post everything, her lies, her manipulation, screenshots, receipts, timelines. I wanted to scream the truth into the void until the internet swallowed her halo whole. But I didn't, because part of me still loved her. Even after everything. even after she scorched the earth and danced in the ashes. Part 5. Rebuilding with Ashes. I didn't leave the house for almost 2 weeks. I ignored work emails, texts, everything. Food tasted like cardboard. Music made me nauseous. Even the silence wasn't peaceful, it was accusing. Everywhere I looked, I saw her. A tea mug with her lipstick stain. A hoodie she stole from me and gave back, because it smelled like me. The Polaroids still taped on the fridge. I should have burned them all. Instead, I put them in a box and shoved it into the back of the closet, like grief could be shelved. The hardest part wasn't that she left. It was that she rewrote everything. Suddenly, our love story was nothing but a prison she escaped. A mistake she grew out of. I was the outdated software in her brand new phone. I thought about messaging Mason again. Not to threaten him. I had no fight left. But to ask him, when? When did it start? How long were you looking me in the eye and lying? I never did. He didn't deserve the satisfaction. Instead, I started journaling. Writing everything down, not for closure, just to remember. To remind myself that I wasn't the crazy one. Page after page. The night she cried in the bathroom when her father relapsed. The time she said I was the only safe place she had. The day I told her about my own trauma, and she held me like it mattered. Were those lies too? Was all of it a game she played until something shinier came along? One night, I was writing when I got another message from Maya. Maya DM. You didn't hear this from me, okay? But Amelia's starting to get nervous. People are asking questions about timelines. About Andre. She's freaking out. I didn't respond. Let her sweat. She set the house on fire. Now she could choke on the smoke. The next morning, I got a knock on my door. I opened it without thinking. It was her. She looked like hell. Disheveled hair, no makeup, red eyes. Amelia, Liam. Liam, why are you here? Amelia, can we talk? Please. I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. She walked in like she still lived there, like she still had rights. She sat on the couch and folded into herself. Amelia, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Mason is not who I thought he was. I stared at her. Liam, so now you come back. After lighting a match and walking away. Amelia, it wasn't supposed to go this far. Liam, you mean the affair or the lies afterward? She looked away. Amelia, I wanted to be free. I didn't want to be the villain. Liam, so you made me one. Her lip trembled. Amelia, I miss you. I laughed. Bitter. Loud. Liam, you don't miss me. You miss the safety I gave you while you planned your escape. She flinched. Amelia, that's not fair. Liam, neither was cheating. Neither was letting the world believe I abused you. Her voice cracked. Amelia, I didn't tell them that. Liam, you didn't have to. You let them believe it. Silence. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Liam, you should go. Amelia, please, Liam. Don't hate me. Liam, I don't. I pity you. You had something real, and you traded it for adrenaline and lies. She cried, but it didn't move me. Not this time. As she walked out the door, I realized something. This was the first time I'd seen her for what she truly was. Not broken, not confused, just cruel. Part 6, Reflection or Rot. After she left, I didn't collapse. I didn't rage or cry or drink. I just sat there, stunned by how hollow her tears felt. Hal performed. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared of being alone. Scared of having to face the truth she'd buried under layers of self-victimization. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of herself that looked better when standing next to someone good. And I was just the casualty. Later that night, I got a voicemail from Mason. I didn't even know he still had my number unblocked. Mason, voicemail. Hey man, I heard she came by. Look, I didn't know she was going to do that. Things between us have changed. You were right. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Really, I messed up. I'm not trying to be your friend again. Just, I don't know. I thought you deserved to hear it from me. I deleted it. An apology that arrives after the damage is done doesn't heal anything. It just salves the conscience of the one who swung the axe. I kept journaling, day by day, rebuilding my memory, my dignity. I started therapy. It was brutal. The therapist asked me questions I didn't want to answer. Therapist, why do you think you stayed so long when you suspected something was wrong? Liam, because I thought love meant loyalty, no matter what. Therapist, and now? Liam, now I know love without truth is just dependency. I met new people. Slowly, cautiously. One girl named Harper invited me out for coffee. She was kind, patient, She didn't ask about Amelia or the scandal. She asked about me, my hobbies, my dreams, my favorite movies as a kid. And for the first time in months, I laughed without bitterness. We didn't start dating, not right away. I told her I wasn't ready, that I didn't want to bleed on someone who didn't cut me. She smiled and said, "Then let's just heal together." I kept thinking back to Amelia. How someone can say, "I love you," and still lie every single day. How betrayal doesn't always come wrapped in anger. It can come with a kiss on the forehead and a whispered, "I'm just tired." It's terrifying, because it makes you question everything. Was any of it real? Did she ever love me? Or was I just a phase she needed to pass through to get to her next chapter? I'll never know. And I'm learning to be okay with that. Some truths don't get answers. They get scars. But scars don't mean you lost. They mean you survived. Part 7. The mirror cracks. Months passed. The shame began to dull. The nights didn't feel so long anymore. Some days, I even forgot what her laugh sounded like. Other days, it echoed like a siren I couldn't turn off. Then one morning, I woke up to a storm of missed calls and messages. Screenshots. Links. Videos. She'd been exposed. A private group chat leaked, one where Amelia bragged about manipulating me, about juggling Andre, Mason, and even a short fling with some gallery owner to secure connections. She wrote things like, "Liam's too soft. He'd probably help me pack my bags for another guy if I cried hard enough. I could cheat right in front of him, and he'd write me a poem about it. He's a sweet idiot. The perfect cover until I blow up." There it was. Undeniable proof that it wasn't confusion or trauma or emotional complexity. It was cruelty. Cold. Premeditated. Smirking. My heart didn't break reading it. It calcified. People who once blocked me started apologizing. Some posted public retractions. One of her old friends even DM'd me. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I'm sorry. We all bought her version. She fooled us. I should have known better." I didn't respond. What was there to say? Even Mason, of all people, texted. "Mason, I saw the screenshots. I feel sick. I don't know who she is anymore. I don't know who I am either. I'm sorry." I stared at it. The man who stole my relationship was now begging for absolution. But he didn't betray me alone. She handed him the knife. He just followed her instructions. Later that night, I found one last message from Amelia herself. "Amelia, DM. I don't know what to say anymore. Maybe I never did. I just wanted to matter. I didn't know how to be loved without controlling it. You were too good. I hated you for it. I'm sorry. Not for leaving, but for what I became." I read it 3 times. I didn't block her. I didn't respond either. Some things don't deserve closure. They deserve to rot in the silence they created. That night, I walked to the river near my apartment. It was quiet. Still, I sat on the bench and thought about the man I used to be. The boy who believed love could save anyone. The man who thought patience and kindness were enough. And then I thought about the man I was becoming. Wiser, sharper, a little colder, but a lot more honest. I took a deep breath, and for the first time in over a year, I felt free. Part 8. The pieces she left behind. Freedom didn't feel like I thought it would. It wasn't fireworks or triumph, it was quiet. Heavy. Like stepping out of a burning house and realizing you have no idea where to go next. But at least I was out. Her memory still lingered in small ways. A song on shuffle. A specific brand of perfume on a stranger. A random video on social media where someone laughed exactly like she used to. For a while, these moments crushed me. Now, they're just echoes. I started reconnecting with people I pushed away during the collapse. My brother, James, came over one night with pizza and 2 beers. He hadn't seen me since the worst of it. "James, you look better. Like, you've been sleeping." "Liam, sometimes I even dream now." "James, about her." "Liam, not anymore." He clapped me on the back and grinned. "James, told you. She didn't deserve your worst. You just didn't believe it then." "Liam, I didn't even believe I deserved better." That was the root of it. The reason I held on. I thought her love, broken, manipulative, inconsistent, was all I was ever going to get. That someone so beautiful, so passionate, could only love me if I earned it again and again. But love isn't a loan. You don't owe it interest. It's either given freely or it's counterfeit. Harper and I eventually grew closer. Slowly. Organically. She never tried to rush me. Never asked for anything but honesty. One night, I finally told her everything. From the first red flag I ignored, to the morning I found out about Mason, to the leaked group chat that revealed the full scale of Amelia's deceit. She didn't pity me. She listened. And when I finished, she looked at me like I wasn't broken, like I was surviving. Harper, I can't undo what she did, but I see you, all of you, and what she saw as weakness. That's what makes you strong. I wanted to cry, not because I was sad, but because it felt like someone had finally looked at the scars and said, "You're still worth loving." A few weeks later, I got invited to a wedding. Mutual friends. Amelia was going to be there. I almost declined. But then I thought, why should I avoid the places she infected? This was my circle too. My life. I wouldn't keep shrinking just to make her more comfortable. So I went. She saw me the moment I walked in. Her smile faltered. She looked tired. Thinner. The kind of thin that doesn't come from fitness, more like something was eating her alive. I didn't approach her. But during the slow dance, she came over. "Amelia, you look happy." "Liam, I am." "Amelia, is that her?" Nodding toward Harper. "Liam, yeah." "Amelia, she looks soft." "Liam, she is. But strong too. The kind of strong that doesn't destroy people to feel powerful." She looked down. "Amelia, I've lost everyone." "Liam, you didn't lose us. You burned us." She nodded, eyes glassy. "Amelia, I didn't think you'd make it out." "Liam, I didn't either. But pain doesn't kill you. It just carves the version of you that comes next." She walked away, and I let her. No second glances. No nostalgia. Just peace. Part 9. What remains of me? It's strange how life goes on. Even after you've shattered into 1,000 pieces, the world doesn't stop. The sun rises. Traffic flows. Grocery store lines still move slowly. People still laugh in cafes. And somehow, you're expected to find a way to function in that same rhythm, even when your heartbeat is changed forever. But I did. And slowly, I became someone new. Not better. Not worse. Just different. Some days, I still wake up with a phantom weight on my chest. Like a memory is pressing against my lungs, reminding me of who I used to be. Of the boy who believed love meant sacrificing himself at the altar of someone else's chaos. But I don't live there anymore. I don't apologize for loving deeply, even if I loved the wrong person. That's her shame, not mine. One afternoon, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note. The handwriting was unmistakable. Amelia's letter. "Liam, I won't ask for forgiveness. I've watched you from a distance. Online, through others, sometimes just in passing when I hear your name. I see now what I ruined. I didn't know how to receive the kind of love you gave me. It made me feel small, exposed. And instead of growing into it, I lashed out. You were my mirror, and I hated what I saw in it. So I broke the mirror, and I broke you in the process. You didn't deserve that. You were the one constant. The one person who stayed even when I didn't. I hope she makes you laugh the way I made you cry. I hope she teaches you that real love doesn't have to hurt. And I hope, someday, you forget what I did. Not for me, but for you. I'm sorry I didn't leave you with more than scars. D. I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I was finally numb to her words. They didn't control me anymore. Her apologies were too late. Her regrets were hers to carry. I didn't need them. I'd already buried the version of me who waited for them. That night, Harper and I took a walk under the city lights. She reached for my hand and held it like she knew I still flinched sometimes. Like she wasn't afraid of the damage. "Harper, you're quiet tonight." "Liam, just thinking." "Harper, about her." "Liam, about who I used to be." "Harper, do you miss him?" I took a breath. "Liam, no. I just hope he knows I kept going." She leaned her head on my shoulder. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Wholeness. Not because the past was healed, but because I'd made peace with the pieces. Part 10. The end of her echo. 1 year. That's how long it had been since she left. Since the world collapsed and rebuilt itself around the crater she left in me. A year of silence, scars, growth, and reckoning. I stood in front of the mirror that morning and barely recognized the man staring back. Not because I had changed physically, though the weight of grief had reshaped me in quiet ways, but because something deeper had shifted. I was no longer someone seeking closure. I was someone who had created it for himself. That day, Harper and I visited a lake about 2 hours from the city. A quiet, undisturbed place I used to go before everything with Amelia began. I hadn't been back since. As we walked the shoreline, I pulled a small envelope from my coat. Amelia's final letter. Harper noticed. Harper, you kept it. Liam, only until today. She didn't ask questions. She just stood beside me as I read the letter one last time. Then, without drama, I knelt down, set the envelope on the surface of the water, and lit a match. The paper curled, darkened, and floated until it disappeared. A symbolic gesture, maybe, but it mattered to me, because I wasn't just letting go of her. I was letting go of the version of myself that thought her validation gave me value. As the ashes disappeared into the lake, I felt a strange lightness, like I'd finally returned something that never truly belonged to me. Later, as we drove home, Harper held my hand in silence. She knew. She always seemed to know when to speak and when to let the silence breathe. When we reached my apartment, she lingered in the doorway. Harper, you okay? Liam, yeah, for real this time. She smiled and leaned up to kiss me gently. Harper, then come build something new. With me. If you're ready. I didn't hesitate. Liam, I am. Because the story with Amelia? It wasn't a tragedy anymore. It was just done. A chapter that ended. A wound that healed. A name that no longer had power over my reflection. She taught me what love wasn't. And in doing so, unintentionally, she made space for me to discover what love could be. Not grand. Not perfect. Not explosive. But steady. Honest. Safe. It didn't feel like fireworks anymore. It felt like coming home. And this time, I wasn't walking into a house built on lies. I was building one, brick by brick, with someone who knew what broken looked like and loved me anyway. The betrayal she left behind had shaped me, but it didn't define me. She may have written the first ending to our story, but I wrote the final page, and I made sure it ended with peace, not pain.